watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I am looking to discuss the 1986 film Pretty in Pink. I've been wanting to do this movie for like ever. I've seen this movie like 1,000 times since I saw it way back in the 80s. And I love too how everybody always sort of signals out to this being like one of the more ultimate teenage rom-coms. And how it's always seems to be wrapped up in these positive memories of Andrew McCarthy and Molly Ringwald's characters getting together and it's all good. And no, there's nothing good about this movie. I love this movie, don't get me wrong, okay? But my whole life I was told that, like, you know, I was wrong for feeling like, what do you mean this movie isn't like a feel-good event? And I'm like, because it's not. Nothing about this movie is good. And of course, I would always receive all this blowback saying, like, no, man, come on, Pretty in Pink, that's the quintessential 1980s rom-com where, like, they're in high school, they fall in love, and there's a bit of social adversity and blah, blah, blah. Dude, the whole movie is social adversity. Everything about this movie is tragic. I mean, I do love the movie, don't get me wrong. I mean, the soundtrack alone. But, and I absolutely loved Iona, Annie Potts' character, and where her and Andy, Molly Ringwald's character, work at Trax, the record store, with all like the punk shit in the background. It's so much fun. But if you look at this movie overall, it's a big downer. It's a fucking massive downer. She's like ridiculously poor. Her father, played by Harry Dean Stanton, Jack, he's completely heartbroken because his wife, Molly Ringwald, Andy, her mom walked out on them 3 years ago, and he hasn't been able to move on. He's not really looking for work. He's really down on his luck because of the heartbreak, and he can't seem to put it behind him and allowing himself to move forward. And Andy, Molly Ringwald's character, she knows this and she sees this. She recognizes this in her father every day. And then she, of course, has a thing for Blaine, played by Andrew McCarthy. And Blaine is rich, and he's best friends with Steph, played by the incredibly good-looking and the best actor for portraying a rich asshole in a movie. And that, of course, is Steph was played by James Spader. Fuck, my God, James Spader was fucking dreamy back then. But anyways, and so she likes Blaine. Blaine likes her. He comes into Trax. He buys, like, can't remember the first record he buys, but it was god-awful. And the whole time, like, whenever the track scenes are on, I'm trying to pick out all, like, the punk shit. Like, I spotted a Sam Hain sticker. I spotted, there's a TSOL poster in the background. There's a Subhuman sticker. There's, like, a special ska guy. There's a Black Flag sticker. There's a TSOL poster somewhere. Did I say that already? I think I did. And there's a Crass sticker on the door to Trax, which is amazing. But their relationship, it just doesn't go I mean, technically it goes somewhere, but there's so much social trauma tossed in. Like, they go on a date. Ducky, oh my God, Ducky, played by John Cryer. Ducky is completely in love with her. Ducky, of course, is Andy's best friend. And Ducky's totally devastated that she's going out with Blaine because Blaine and Steph and their friends have always looked down on Andy and Ducky and everybody from their side of the train tracks. So he explodes when he finds out that she's going out with him. They decide to go to a party at the house that Andy absolutely loves and takes Ducky for a ride up to in order to look at all the houses because she just thinks they're so fantastic. And then when she finds herself inside of one of them, the people in there are fucking horrid. So they have to leave. They go hang out with Andy's friends and Iona's friends at like the sort of like punkish club where they all hang out. Sorry, where Andrew Dice Clay plays the bouncer. I love it. He's doing like the cigarette lighting thing. He's throwing it around. He's got his Zippo out and he's wearing like a Dice shirt at one point, which was absolutely brilliant. I was a kid in the 80s, so Andrew Dice Clay, I love him. I mean, fucking, he would make people's heads explode. By today's standards, he would cause heart attacks. You know, like, I mean, there was an old woman that lived in a shoe. She had so many children, her uterus fell out. Like, that's amazing. But it's not for everybody. I loved how he was in it. And so when they go to the like punk club where Andy and them hang out, her friends, Ducky especially, did not like that Blaine was there. So they couldn't hang out with her friends. They couldn't hang out with his friends. And I mean, what are they supposed to do? So they start to like go on these like this little mini date thing at his like stable where he has some horses because of course Blaine's family has horses because rich people always have horses. And I mean, And then he blows her off because Steph points out how his mom would never accept it. And so he just kind of blows her off, treats her like shit. And there's nothing good about this movie. There's nothing uplifting. She decides to go to prom by herself. She reworks part of the dress that she got from Iona, I think, with the dress that her dad bought her. And I mean, Andy's fashion was absolutely the best part of this movie. And yet, to me, she looked really well dressed, but it seems like wherever she went where there were rich people, they knew she wasn't rich just based on how she was dressed, which makes absolutely no sense to me because I always thought like she dressed amazingly in that movie. And I also absolutely loved her car. And yeah, so she goes to prom by herself after having this really like heartbreaking talk with her father a few days prior where she discusses how, Dad, like, Mom left us. We didn't leave her. I knew at 5 years old she wasn't into it. Remember when she disappeared that time for 24 hours? I was 14 and I knew why. You were 50 and you didn't. And he's like, so when is the daughter supposed to know more than the father? And it's like, he's crying, she's crying. And the whole fucking movie is just one big tear fest. And it ends with Blaine and Andy getting together in the parking lot, and Ducky scores himself the duckette by way of a Christy Swanson, too. Jesus Christ, did Ducky luck out. And they embrace and they kiss at the end, but it's like they're still not going to be together. There's nothing good about this movie. There was the alternate ending, too, where originally the test screenings didn't go so well. The original movie had Andy and Ducky get together, but that didn't work, so they rewrote it so that she ends up with Blaine. Well, not ends up with Blaine. She kisses Blaine at the end. She can't be with Blaine. He's rich. She's poor. In this particular setting, that can never work. And I think that's actually all I really wanted to say. Yeah, I think that was it. So like always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Fuck me for a little over 7 minutes. Tried to keep this one quick and I failed while I discussed the depressing yet brilliant 1986 film that was written by John Hughes, and that is, of course, Pretty in Pink. Like always, if you like this review, please, God, send me to speech therapy lessons, because I have speech therapy or speech lessons or some shit, because I can't talk. Don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But please don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you're here, you're watching this, and you're eating, and you're sleeping, and you're laughing, and you're talking, and whatever it is that you're going through, I swear to Christ, it'll get better. And I hope I was entertaining. It doesn't really matter because nobody makes it to the end of these videos. I could say whatever I want. I could lay out this whole terrorist thing that I got, well, that I don't have going. But I could. Nobody would know. Fucking bombs would detonate, and everyone would be like, yo, the guy labeled it out. The police would look. All right, I'm going on too long. I gotta go. Probably gonna cut all this out. Or not. Have a good night.